Welcome to Slacker Moto Radio with Brad and Addison. Based out of the Pacific Northwest, we're talking motorcycles and the motorcycle community, and we're excited to have this hour with you. Here we go. Welcome back, Slackers. Brad, quit snoring. How are you?
I'm doing really good. It's just we're getting into some weather kind of coming back around here in the Portland Northwest area, and so just been on a high. It's been so nice and hot, and man, been riding a lot, at least commuting wise, and I just spending a lot of time outside, and think the rain's going to come back. A little disappointed, but I like things green, so that's okay. But otherwise, doing pretty good. Going to be working on the bike this weekend since it's at least raining, so I have a good excuse to be in the tool room working on the KLR.
Oh, KLR. All right. I was confused. Working on the bike. I didn't know what you needed to do. Yeah, it has been a good week. It's good to, not sound like a frog or as some people had mentioned, like Mrs. Doubtfire's brother. I know that was a comment we've gotten there from last week, but it's nice to be back to normal, and talking normal again. But I've already distracted myself now thinking about all the jokes that I heard throughout the week, the 2 weeks between episodes. But yeah, I had an opportunity to ride a couple times this week. I was able to get out and really come to enjoy the street triple a little more. I kind of made that comment today on Instagram that every mile I put on that bike, I like it a little bit more, and I continue to become more and more of a true believer in the middleweight bikes. Although more power is funner, bigger bikes you can do a little bit more. You don't. In most cases, you just don't need it. You can do a lot with these middleweight, especially these middleweight naked bikes, right? The triples and the 4-cylinders have plenty of power to do what they want. Even the twins.
Yeah, middle white naked bikes. Those are good. Yeah.
Middle white naked bikes. Is that what I said?
Yeah, but that's okay.
I'm not even sure what that means anymore.
I don't know either. But I'm glad that you're getting out on the bike. Did you get the new seat on?
I have not. So that's
What?
going to be the newest. I didn't end up coming in time to go riding when I went. What was this? A couple days ago, Wednesday, I believe. Went for a good long 130-mile trip, but didn't arrive in time to be able to do that in an afternoon ride, and I wasn't willing to wait until it showed up at 6-7 o'clock or whenever it finally came to the door. So went riding anyway. That'll be when the weather clears up. I'll plan a good Saturday airport ride. We can go check out the airports or maybe the false Stonehenge down off of 14. But I know how much you love these airport tours. But yeah, plan a good long ride to
It's
see the
fine. It's an
difference
excuse to get out. I don't have a problem with that.
As long as we take good roads, I don't care where we're going. I mean, I've said that before. We talked about this last episode that, the path there is where it's fun, not necessarily where I'm going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's fun to poke fun at wherever you end up going to, I guess, right?
I think that's fair. I mean, often I'll just do long, 100-plus mile loops here around, Mount St. Helens or wherever we can get to around Mount Hood, all these places with mountain passes. We don't have a ton of twisty river roads where we're at here in the Portland area, but a lot of good mountain passes. So you don't have to go far to hit some good roads.
No, that's for sure. So what are you going to be taking advantage of this weather doing?
What am I going to be doing? The rainy
it's
weather
going to be kind
coming?
of rainy. We're not going to be riding.
I figured you were talking the rainy weather. So this week we'll see. Just had our anniversary this week, so we'll probably do something for that. And I'm not talking about the show this time. I'm getting real personal, but nonetheless, we'll do something with that. So there'll be a lot of family time.
It's not our anniversary either.
I know we should have put a date on that. We can officially pick it. It's like adopting a dog, right? You just pick a date that's their birthday. You don't actually ever know.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's fair.
I like to make you speak right when you're trying to put something in your mouth.
I appreciate that. Now that you can
That
tell,
came out weird. Well,
this whole episode is weird, man.
yeah. So I guess to this point, we're really just chit chatting, which we always do anyway. But really, one of the big points I wanted to get across, so is to your point. What are we doing with the good weather or the bad weather, or what are we doing with our time? And that was kind of one of my big points I wanted to get across is if you're in the Northwest, and I know we have a lot of listeners in the Northwest, there's a lot of things happening this summer. And we're often, I mean, even to the point of the first one we bring up here in a minute, but we're often talking about things, the week of, if not the day of, by the time this comes out and is released. So I thought today would be a really good opportunity to kind of give a calendar of events and let people plan their summer for all the motorcycle events that are happening. None of this is really sponsored or we're not getting really anything from it other than hopefully seeing a handful of you guys out when we're riding or participating in the different things that are happening. So, anything we mentioned, we're likely to be there. Look for us and we'll say hi. We'll have stickers. We'll have something there. But otherwise, hopefully everybody's just getting their fill of moto because last year, I think at least for big group events and things like that, was a little difficult. I don't think a lot of people got out and did much. The one show, at least in the Northwest last year, was kind of right before everything shut down. So it was a really good little exclamation point. But it's pretty hard to have your exclamation point that early in the year. February kind of sucks when you've already put an end to your moto events for
Yeah.
the year. Now that being said, one of the first big ones I wanted to bring up is here next weekend. So starting on the 30th of, I guess this goes far and wide. So April 30th, we've got the One Moto Show here in Portland. They are still putting it on.
Dang, I was impressed. That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity to still participate in some of the custom bikes in the area. Um, and really, it comes pretty nationally. I don't know how many people are going to travel. I'm really curious to see the difference this year from years past. I think that coming out of COVID and being able to just barely start having these events is definitely a possibility that things will change. Definitely a possibility that it'll be a bit different. But we're having an opportunity where there's going to be a large number of bikes. It's a whole different venue. Always free parking if you ride in. That's kind of one of the nice things about the one show that we kind of lost last year is that even if you rode your motorcycle, there was no free parking at the Coliseum. But where we're going now, free parking when you ride your bike in, and then should have basically 3 days of shows and art and really a whole bunch of moto community type stuff. So, I think we're planning to be there right now. There's kind of a debate as of whether we show up when everything starts on Friday or when it's starting to round out on Sunday. But if you go on either of those days, keep an eye out for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's kind of an interesting venue right there. The overpass is going by right beside it, open air venue. So just different, which has kind of been fun to see the last few. I haven't been going since the first one, I should say, but for the last 3 years, each time it has been at a different location for me. So it's kind of cool just seeing different areas. I don't usually head that far into Portland, so I get to check out something new. It's interesting how they're going to actually keep people in or out, but they always do a really good job. It ends up being a fun venue. This one looks rather large, so there might be quite a bit of space. I mean, it kind of needs to be. Might be worthwhile to check it out, even if you're hesitant.
Yeah, I think if we're worried about COVID, it's basically an open air. It's in a big hangar. It's not really even a hangar, but a big storage facility that looks like it's open on both ends. So it's not going to be, it'll be out of the rain should it be a rainy experience, but it's not going to be, enclosed and stagnant air or anything like that. But it's definitely going to be a different look, and I'm really curious what they do with it. It looks like just a lot of flat floor space, which is very different than any of the ones I've been to. Usually there's, some mezzanine areas or different rooms, different locations where they've kind of broken up the styles of bikes or the different builder locations. There's some kind of deviation from one section to another. And I'm sure we'll have a similar fashion of things put in similar categories. Um, but it's definitely a big open storage facility, right? It's
Yeah, it
not
kind
like,
of reminds me a little bit of the pickle factory. And the one thing that I loved about going to the pickle factory was the atmosphere. So as you're walking around, you're seeing this building that almost looks dilapidated, like it's just gonna, they're gonna tear it down sometime soon. And it's not that bad, but it's just there's holes in the concrete and you can see the rebar. And so it just kind of adds to the atmosphere as you're looking at all of these bikes and the fabrication that's been taking place. And then last year, we had it at just a completely sterile environment, and not that it was bad. It was nice. I mean, it kind of brings out a touch of just how pristine the bikes are. It just sets a different kind of a mood, and so I'm really interested to see how this changes it being in this venue. Is it going to be similar to the pickle factory? I think so. I think to some extent it's going to be. I mean, how is the rust and metal and everything else in that environment going to affect the atmosphere and what it's like to be at the One Moto show? I'm kind of excited to see that.
I am too. Yeah, when they first started bringing it back, we're trying to understand what was happening and how it was going to work. I don't know. Hesitant may not be the right word, but I definitely wanted to see what was going on a little bit more before really diving in wholeheartedly. Because it was very possible, and I don't know that anyone would have faulted CC Motors and Tor for almost taking the easy road out, right, on the one show and saying, hey, we're going to hold something just so we can. We haven't missed a year in 11 years. We're not going to miss this one, kind of a thing. And I don't think anybody would have faulted it, and they would have been fine if, there was just a small shindig that kind of held a placeholder for 2021. But it really looks like it has become a straight up One Moto show event. It's going to live to its, maybe more early life stature, right? I don't know that there was something very different and big and large show, large event about last year.
Yeah, well, the flat
And it's
track
not going to
racing
live up
is
to that.
really part of what you're talking about. Is that you had two different venues going on at the same time. There was a premium and a standard package to your ticket and your entrance into the facility. So it was completely different than
Yeah.
what we're seeing this year, and they had to kind of rein back a little bit in some of that.
Yep. And it does feel like it's going more to the roots of the one show, but it's still going to be a wholehearted, one show. A lot of bikes, a lot of builders. I don't know that the interaction will be the same. I think there's still plenty of people that are trying to be, quote unquote, COVID safe. I don't think it's going to be quite the social experience that it once was, based on the rules and things I can see thus far. Is it'll be, a very where Portland's at today type experience. So, I think there's some risk there. I think, in being exactly what it always was,
Whoa, whoa,
but I
whoa!
don't know that we could have asked for much more.
You're not saying there's going to be riots there, right?
I really hope not. Talk about the Portland experience at the moment. That's an interesting point. That yeah, we're going through all kinds of crazy crap again. I
Right.
shouldn't
Anyway,
say
I,
now
I don't
because
mean to get it. I just you talked about that. I don't think that's what we're talking about. You're just saying as far as COVID and how we're handling that as a state.
so in years past, I've always had an opportunity to talk to a couple of builders, talk to a lot of the vendors, very one on one. We've had we've done interviews on the show, and I don't know that it's going to be the same environment. We're going to come with our equipment. We're going to be ready to have an awesome time because no matter what we do as a podcast, as a group here at Slacker Moto, we're still going to have an awesome time because it's a great show. And we'll see what we can get and see what we can do with it from a perspective of bringing it to those that maybe don't have the ability to be in Portland, don't live nearby, all of that. We can share the experience as much as we can. But I don't know that it's going to be the same from that perspective. From a bike perspective, it looks like it's going to be just as good as ever.
How many bikes do you think I'm going to find that have the keys in them? Maybe we can go for a ride.
Yeah, that would be that's one thing I've always kind of, I don't know that we've ever stated it, thought that may happen once the one show transitioned from a Harley funded event. I shouldn't say funded, Harley sponsored event to an Indian sponsored event. I kind of thought they'd start doing Indian test rides. They'd have that opportunity, similar to the auto show, right? If you've ever been to an auto show, right, all the manufacturers are doing test rides out front. I wouldn't necessarily expect all the manufacturers, but that would be one of the perks of being a sponsor, right? Is you can get people's firsthand on your seats and putting a couple miles on the bikes to really fall in love and make it a little bit more of an interactive experience. I've always kind of waited for the year that starts showing up. I thought the Coliseum last year may be the time, because that would be a very easy spot where nobody's parking nearby. Everybody's got to park in, either paid parking or a ways away, or take the train. So they could have easily done it from one of the side streets there to the Coliseum. But I don't know that this will be the year for it either. I doubt they're going to have a bunch of people touching and sharing bikes with everything going on.
Yeah,
But
no, that's very interesting. Another thing, just looking back to years past, I know we're spending a lot of time on the One Moto Show, but I think it's pretty
that's all right.
relevant that it's coming up here pretty soon. As you would walk around the event, especially last year, you could definitely tell that Indian was sponsoring the event. Starting from seeing Indian outside and their large display, bikes up in the air and around, and I mean, even at the pickle factory when it was just two trucks and like you
Yep.
had to walk past like 20 bikes on your way in, right? And then there was some inside that you could even sit on and such. But that one of the things that they said this year, and so maybe this is me getting a little bit too technical with it, but they said that their sponsors were going to be outside. I'm not going to hold them to that. I bet that we see Indian motorcycles inside the floor space as well. What do you think?
I'm sure that'll be the case. It really seems to be every year a little bit more integrated by Indian, and I don't have a problem. I think Indian brings their A game. They're not bringing average boring bikes. When they bring a bike, it's generally fully optioned, if not custom. Some of the things that they're working on for future releases that you may not even be able to purchase yet, whether it's an accessory or an actual bike. They've always brought pretty nice machines. So, even if they're intermittently strewn throughout or have a section, I think the last couple of years they basically just had a section where you can basically go in. It would be as if going into the fanciest Indian dealer you could find, right? Only the best bikes on the showroom, kind of a thing. And I'm okay with that. I really don't mind either way. It's never really been the case that it takes over the show. I think that's where I would start to get a little, maybe not upset, but I would have comments if suddenly we show up and
Yeah, I would say that last year, and it wasn't bad. It's not to the point where it's major comments, but last year I did hear a lot of feedback about, wow, did you notice how many Indian motorcycles there were? That you'd be going around looking at bikes, and then all of a sudden find yourself looking at another Indian. So I mean, they were strategically placed in there, and like to your point, it wasn't bad. And I'm not complaining about anything. I'm just saying that, like, I just want to make sure that that balance is still there. It'd be like somebody listening to our podcast, and then every 15, every 10 minutes we cut for a break, and then all of a sudden we start cutting to a break every 5 minutes, right? And we don't do that at all right now. So people have to, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it,
as I say,
listen
for
to
better or
us
worse.
nonstop. uh, but if we had ads, we'd probably be the same voices doing them there, so you wouldn't really get a break. But anyway, regardless, I I
Sunday,
just
Sunday, Sunday.
I just want to see what ends up taking place. I think it's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to it, hoping that I can make it. I know we're trying to make all of our plans right now. I got a lot of guys in our little local group that we work with and communicate about motorcycles every day with that are planning on going. So we should be well represented one way or another.
Yeah, Friday. If you look hard, you'll find Dennis and Hot Tub Daryl.
Yes.
And then we may be there Friday as well. We may go Sunday. It's kind of that part's up in the air for Brad and I.
I think there might even be a buyer there.
That there might be. Yep, you're going to find some people that you've met. If you recognize them, good on you. Bonus points. Let us know. Reach out to us, and we'll have special. I'll definitely. I'd send you out something if you find these guys. You get a picture with one of them, and you share that with us on Facebook or Instagram. Tag Slacker Moto on either one. I'll send you a care package. That would be so excellent.
Oh,
I'm more than willing to reward that amount of research and work that you can find these guys.
okay.
Especially because they won't see it coming. I just want to hear their reaction more than anything.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope somebody takes us up on this. I'm more than willing to support that kind of effort. That's
Okay.
awesome.
All right. I'm looking forward to the care package.
Brad, you're exempt. You don't get anything.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, because you'll have a picture with me in any case.
Okay, so is that the only event this year? What other ones do you know that are coming up?
So we've got that. We've got, one of the things I wanted to bring up as well that's already really kicked off in a lot of locations, and this isn't a Northwest thing, is your local track days. Obviously, everybody knew me as a fanboy last year. I got a lot of comments that I was way too excited about track days, but if I'm being honest, I'm still excited to do it this year. So, take it for what you want. But if you have a bike that can really, that's most any bike, it's well worth the expense. The learning you get from it and the growth. Check out your local track days. You can usually find them on a Facebook group, or just start looking around. Find your local tracks and look at their schedules. See when a moto track day is happening. I'd like to just put it. That's really not to any specific track group in general this time. Just find one if you have any inkling to do it and try it out. It's well worth it.
So, were there any cruisers out there last time?
There weren't. I mean, there was a newer Bonneville. I think it's the Street Twin, right? The
Goodness, you're not.
the 900 Bonneville. A lot of, shouldn't say a lot of, but a few SV650s. So no cruisers, but definitely your average middleweight, bikes. Not necessarily sport bikes, not necessarily track bikes. In the green, between the green and blue group, there's a handful of just normal bikes that were just out there having a great time.
Okay. I'm just
There's
curious.
some guys in there looking to be better and better. Some guys that were just out there to have an awesome experience.
I don't think I'd have any floorboards left if I went.
That may be true. And is that a problem?
I don't know. I got to have somewhere to put my feet.
Well, we can put some sweet off-road pegs.
All right. Yeah.
I will say, what was that, 2 years ago at the Pickle Factory? Man, now we're getting back into the one show. But what was it, Northwest? Oh, good night. What's the local distributor? Now I can't remember the name, and I'm going to hate myself for it. But our local parts distributor had one of their model bikes, just a Harley, crazy optioned out, really.
Oh, yes.
With their own parts.
remember
And they had these off-road floorboards, like off-road peg-looking floor. It was pretty cool. I'll give you that if you put those on, I don't think they look right, and it's pretty cool. They
I gotta
can
have
make
a
them
look
for your
around
bike.
for them. Yeah, that's cool.
Do you remember those? Those were
I
pretty
do.
cool.
I do vaguely remember. I just tired of it startling me every time I start scraping floorboards, man. Because
Well,
it's
they
enough.
fold up.
Yeah, they fold up, but it's enough that like if you're feeling it, you feel like your feet are now rubbing on the ground because all of that vibration is going through your feet, and so all of a sudden you hear that as your foot's shaking, and you kind of do this weird startle. I'm kind of getting better about it, but I don't think that's a good thing. Like not responding to it, I guess is what I'm saying about getting better about it. But anyway, uh, I, I need to figure something out. Maybe it's just a different bike.
I think it's less of an issue with the floorboards, more of an issue of you not getting in the right riding position. You got to lean harder, man.
You gotta lean harder.
Not the bike. You got to lean. You got to get your butt off the seat and lean hard over into it.
Oh. Yeah, because that'll make it feel so much better.
Now I've upset you.
Okay, that's all right. Okay, so that's coming up.
So yeah, wherever you're at, I guarantee there's some track days. Easy thing to look at and look for. More recently in the Northwest, I know there's a handful of demo days coming around this year. That should be starting up again. It really was end of last year. I know we did some reviews on the Yamaha and other days. But one of the more close ones is I know that there's a KTM demo day coming up.
Ooh, interesting.
May 15th at PIR. They're not bringing a lot of bikes, or at least models of bikes. I assume they'll have multiples. Otherwise, you get there early because right now they're showing 4 models to show up of bikes.
Oh, wow.
So hopefully there's multiples of those 4. Otherwise, there's only 4 people riding at a time. But it is at PIR. So, I assume it'll be the track and or the road track around it. In either case, that will be the most excellent way to test a bike. If there's ever a place to have a demo day, I feel like all the manufacturers should just go to PIR. That sounds super
Do you
excellent.
think that there's going to be 4 dozen bikes? I mean, how many bikes do you think they're going to bring?
I think they'll bring a truckload. My guess is they'll have 12 bikes.
Okay.
Thereabout. It'll probably be similar to any other demo day, but just the fact that they only said, right, there'll be the 4 models, the 890, 390, 200, and 390 Adventure. I just thought that's pretty limited. Hopefully there's more than just 4, because the second there's 10 people there, it takes 2 hours to get your time in.
Oh, it was bad enough at Yamaha, and we still had a good time, but it was just like
And there was a ton of bikes.
They had set it up just right where you would only ride the bike once. Really, I mean, you could do multiple,
Basically.
but you were going to be there all day.
Yep.
And it was
that
so
was more
busy,
time.
and it's nothing horrible against them, but it was so busy that like we wanted to just go look around. And based on where we are with COVID, that was part of it, yes. But it was like we were having to just sit there and wait for because they only had so many people that could chauffeur you around. It was kind of weird, but anyway, that just definitely come early, come prepared to get on, and maybe only get on once.
I think that's fair. I think that, yeah, that it can be disappointing and or a lot of weight. My favorite part about the Yamaha demo day was that we weren't willing to wait, yet we went to Paradise Harley and spent just as much time chatting. But that's all right.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. But they had coffee there.
And it was a good conversation. Made some new friends there. That was a good event. But anyway, sometimes you're not willing to wait. Sometimes you wait anyway, just because it's funner.
It wasn't as busy. It was kind of nice. Just walked around, looked at bikes, talked to a guy. Anyway, okay. So demo days, those are coming up. That's good. That's good. What else?
Now, one of the other things that I don't know if coming up is the right word, but that we will be hosting. So keep an eye on Instagram and Facebook. Is on the second Saturday we're going to have an event each month here, starting in May. So in the middle months of the year, so May through August, we will have an event. Granted, the August event will be the big ride, but keep an eye out. Second Saturday in May, we'll have locations. We'll have meetup times for a ride. We'll have we'll have a shop day or two. We may throw some extras in there. We've talked about both of these things, so hopefully it's not a surprise to any listeners. But keep an eye out, and we'll let you know exactly what's happening or what's going on. For May, it will be a ride. It's going to be kind of the season opener. We've got a handful of guys that we ride with that kind of split their season amongst multiple sports. May should be the time that we can get them to dust their bikes off and have a good ride with some of the core group. And everyone will be invited, especially if you're in the Northwest area. Come join us. So that's one of the events for Saturday of May. Likelihood is we'll do like an 8:30 start time. Kickstands up before 9, kind of a discussion, and we'll meet at the most feasible location before the fun roads begin in any of our rides. So come join us, especially Dusty Bikes.
Looking forward to it. That'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to the shop days. I know we've been talking about that, trying to get that started a little bit. You're doing a good job getting some events going. So yeah, definitely pretty awesome, especially with things kind of opening up to, for the most part, or at least people getting vaccinated and ready to go out and start collaborating with others. Definitely take advantage of it.
I think that's kind of the point, right? We started this all about the Moto community, so let's do some community events. Pretty it was a pretty obvious connection there. What else, Brad? Do you have any events lined up?
Events on my behalf. I'm just going to keep on riding. I mean, I'm planning on continuing to commute into work, even when it's a little bit rainy. I don't mind that. Looks like it's going to be relatively not heavy next week, but I'll probably get in at least a couple times during that. Otherwise, just be taking advantage of getting some other things done that I've been neglecting as a result of riding in a motorcycle with hardly any space on it. Right, so. Going to be doing that here going into the summer. Planning on just getting out on some of these rides. I know that we'll be posting anything that we end up doing as a group, and then kind of getting into and later in the fall, I start getting into doing a little bit of hunting and some other activities. Of course, family's coming up, but I don't really have any big events. I think that you've pretty much covered them.
That's fair. So yeah, a couple other things that are well worth noting as well. Is we've got Moto America is starting up. So wherever you live, if you're not in the Northwest, there's Texas and Barber Motorsports and California and all over the country. So keep an eye out. Check Moto America. Go to a race. They're pretty cool. Most locations are having pretty much open fan situation. You can go and sit in the stands, and most places are much more open. We're still looking pretty closed down, so I don't know what's going to happen. Tacoma is the location here in the Northwest, and it is right now not really structured to be open. They may do a limited fan situation, so keep an eye out on that event. But that's June 12th and 13th. Sorry, nope, that is entirely wrong. It's June 25th through 27th.
Way to really mislead everybody. They're
I
going to
know.
write that first.
I'm looking at my calendar. There's something else going on the 12th, 13th. That's our ride, our second Saturday ride. So. Keep the 12th in your calendar anyway. But Moto America is the 25th through 27th. And that's one of the big things that I'd say as well that I last year really got into, being more homebound and less group activities. Got into watching a lot of motorcycle on TV, and so this is an opportunity to go there, pretty much in any state but Washington. Uh, Now, we're hoping to be there and do some recordings there and be involved from more of a media standpoint. Um, so you'll get news from it nonetheless. But if you can make it, I recommend it.
Absolutely, that should be a lot of fun. You've been talking about it, trying to get me to go to it. So I'm just kind of curious what they're going to end up doing. What is there going to be for the people that are there to watch it? Is there going to be? I mean, how's that going to be set up? And I guess we don't really know. We'll just keep an eye out on
Yeah, from a basic, media racers teams standpoint, family, friends, that usually even last year they still ran it and it was allowed to be basically everyone from the media and everyone associated with the team could be there. So really wasn't a total shutdown. It still occurred, but and everybody obviously at that point, right? The stands are basically wide open. You can sit wherever you want. Best seat in the house, no matter where you go. So if it does end up limited in some aspects, it makes it even more fun if you can get in. So that's really not necessarily a bad thing, but something to be aware of. One of those events that's coming up that many people may want to plan now. You may not live nearby. You may want to look for a hotel or start getting yourself lined up or camp. There's a lot of campsites, especially in the Tacoma one nearby. You can camp right there on the track if you want to as well. So pretty cool opportunities, for watching racing, being around bikes, and having a good time.
So you're going to be taking the Gladiator to that one?
Probably won't be taking the Gladiator. No, that's a long ride. I'll probably take the Stripple to everything.
Okay. Okay.
Stripple's the daily, man. That thing's the jack of all trades. That's kind of what I was getting into earlier, saying that every time I ride that bike, I get a little bit more happy with it. I kind of bought that. I don't think I was too shy about it at the time, with a lack of understanding of exactly what it was or how it would work for all of the many facets of riding that I do. I knew it would be a fun street bike. I knew it would be a fun commuter bike. I knew, things like that, quick Saturday ride bike. But now that I've toured on it, now that I've done, the track day on it, it's a pretty good jack of all trades. It's done some dirt. It's done some sandy roads. Um, I wouldn't do it more than what I've done. A couple hundred, 100 yards at most in certain areas just to get from point A to point B. I don't know that I would use it as a dirt bike, but it can do it, right? And I was actually having this conversation. Sorry, now I'm just rambling. This conversation with others just this week that bikes are pretty amazing. If we look back 30, 40 years, there was pretty much one style of bike, and you either put knobby tires on it or you put street tires on it, and you did everything it would do, which was really anything you want. And that's kind of the world of motorcycles to me still in my brain, that if you've got a motorcycle, it'll do what you want. Granted, you can probably find a better bike for any specific task, right? There's certain bikes, let's look at the touring bikes, right? Your Gold Wings that are just made to be highway tourers, right? You're just going to go forever, be comfortable as can be, as long as you want to sit on that saddle till you fall asleep and you need to stop so that you can go to bed.
Yeah.
Whereas a sport bike really isn't going to be as comfortable, but can you do it? 1,000%. If you're willing to do it and you've got mental toughness and physical toughness, you could ride a 1,500-mile day on a sport bike all day long if that's what you want to do. The bike will do it, and that's what's pretty amazing. And I think we've kind of forgotten that over time. Everybody wants these specific bikes for specific things, and we even talk about it, the five bike rule, right?
Whoa! I want you to know that you are saying some pretty serious words right now because this contradicts entirely the five bike rule. How can you even start talking like this? I don't think I can handle it anymore.
No, and I'm all for the five bike rule. In fact, I'm working my way towards that pretty solidly, as you've predicted this year. But if you've got one bike, you should never feel like you can't join your buddies. You should never feel like you can't go do something.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you just said something. Is there another bike? Did you buy another bike?
No, I didn't. But
You have one in the works.
I actually don't right now.
What?
I've put money and time into mine.
Okay. I'm just making sure. You throw out those kind of comments. It makes me wonder.
Yeah, no, I've been pretty good, man. No problems there. We got to get a car for the family first, but that's neither here nor there for this podcast. But I guess what I'm just trying to say, I hear too many people that will, talk about their bike not being good for, that's too long distance to do on a 250, or I can't go there because there might be a small slice of gravel road and my cruiser can't go on anything that has dirt or dust. And you get these comments of kind of too much care, right? And I think if your bike is not made for that situation, then you don't take it at the same pace as the bike that is, right? I'm not going to take my street triple on a gravel road to get through, one of the best examples is the Moki Dugway that we did on our Utah trip a number of years ago. That's a dirt road switchback up the mountainside, up the cliffside, basically, to get down from Mexican Hat, Utah, up north. And that's the best way to get there. Beautiful views, awesome road, but it is a dirt road. On a dual sport or something like that, we're going to tear that up and we're going to go at a normal pace, right? 25 miles an hour, whatever the speed limit is, we're going to be able to go. We were all on street bikes, so was it a problem? Not at all. But did we go slow? Yeah, much slower than we would have if we had knobby tires. And that's all it is. You can do anything on your bike. Just take it at a smart pace.
Oh, that's one of my favorite things right now to do is take my cruiser. I live on a gravel road where I got to drive about a quarter mile down it. As soon as I go off of the pavement onto the gravel road, I got to, have that ass end just flip, zip out a little bit. You got to throttle it, rip on it a little bit. Kind of fun.
Yep, and that's something that we shouldn't be afraid of. Now, when you have the means and you start collecting, yeah, are there better bikes to do that job 100%? And should you get it if you can? Why not? Right? I'm the first one to say too many bikes is not a word. There's no such thing as too many bikes. You can have as many as you can have as long as you're not causing problems in your own life. But
Okay, I just want you to know that when you start making those kind of comments about it's the best bike, it's got the jack of all trades. It's not. You're just saying that you rode it for 100 feet down a gravel road or dirt or in the sand. That's not really riding it in the sand. That's just
no,
you
and
took a bike. Like everybody should be able to just go slow and be able to use good judgment when they're riding their bike in those kind of situations. But it's not the right bike. It's not a jack of trades. It's not like it's capable of doing it. You just did it.
but by doing it, it is then capable of doing it, and
Oh
that
my
is my
gosh.
comment.
Oh,
So that's all I'm saying is it's not that it's the right bike for it, and it's not that it's the best bike for it, but there's nothing you should shy away from. If you have a bike that you can afford, then you can do anything on it, right? And even those same roads, if I would throw knobbies on it, it would be a different conversation. It would do it moderately fine, even with the crap suspension and the way that the wheelbase is set up for dirt is not good. But with some knobbies where I can get some traction, it would do fine, and I would do dirt
with
roads for
wire spoke
miles.
rims? Yours doesn't have wire spoke rims. What are you talking about?
You don't need that.
Oh,
I wouldn't go as fast as a dual sport, but I would go fast enough to make it perfectly doable and perfectly fun. And that's what I'm saying. You can, with small logical, I don't know if upgrades is even the right word, changes to your bike, you can do anything on one motorcycle, especially the standard bikes. A standard bike is a good starter bike, and we don't need to get into that. That's not the point of this conversation, is what you should start with. But those standard bikes, whether it's naked standard or whatever kind of standard bike with a natural neutral riding position, you can do almost anything on.
I think you're talking about a Gixxer 1000, right?
You can.
Standard bike.
I've seen guys do crazy stuff. I've seen those with knobby tires. You can do it, but I don't know that that's the best for a jack of all trades bike.
Okay.
But again, you can do it.
You just need to get a Beamer.
I hear that from all the BMW riders. That's the bike everybody ends up on, and it's the best bike you can get.
Yes.
I'm not necessarily a believer of that yet, but again, I don't have one, so maybe it's true. Maybe I get one at some point, and I never go back. I don't know. I can't knock it till I try it.
Okay.
Now, the problem is it takes a lot of money to try it.
Well, you gotta once you've spent that much money, you gotta stay positive.
It's a mental game.
Am I gonna talk down the fact that I spent this much money? No, and I ain't gonna let my wife hear it either, right? Or anybody that might say something to my wife about it. So, anyway.
Is that the problem with motorcycles in general? The only reason we talk about it so much is we're trying to convince ourselves that they're the best?
Maybe.
Wow, this got really real really quickly. I don't know if this is the direction I want to go in my own life at all.
Yeah, you should just give up on motorcycles and go back to Jeeps.
No, I think all hobbies are now just bad. It's just us pretending.
You might as well play golf.
All hobbies are just a justification for the money we've spent. We don't actually love them. Man, I don't even like where this is going. I'm out. Maybe we have to cut this out.
I now I'm depressed, and it's gonna rain.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sad the day before it rains. What? That's not acceptable.
Hmm.
So yeah, do you need some help working on your bike?
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna end up doing. I got the mother-in-law coming over, so we're gonna have a few different things going on. Maybe even a date night. And I will go do something. Things are kind of weird right now, but anyway, we'll do something fun. And yeah, I don't know what we're gonna be doing exactly. I'll let you know.
All right, you sound like you're in a similar boat. That a lot that you want to do, but family time is taking precedence.
Yeah, and most of the time,
That's all
and
right.
I'm okay with that.
Yep, that's kind of where I'm at this weekend. Is I know that there's a lot going on, and I will try to do as much as I can squeeze in without being a nuisance to all those other things.
Well, I know you had that garage sale, and I'm glad you didn't sell the garage in the process. So you should have more space, though, to do some work in the garage.
Dude, all three bikes that I ride, let's clarify, because there's others that I don't ride right now. Easy access in and out of the garage. They're lined up like a parking lot. Oof, man. Life is good, buddy. Life is good.
Okay, good, good.
I can get whatever I want to ride that day. It's easy to just wheel out of the garage now. I've got them, everything lined up in the right way. Got it all. Man, the shop is set up. To your point, I know you're a huge proponent of lights. We didn't really get into what I did this last couple of weeks, but I have upgraded my lighting. I now have triple what I had before. And let me tell you, we've had really good weather. Yet at midday, if I turn the garage lights on, it's brighter in the garage than out.
It's a big difference, man.
It's
It's
not
huge.
really, I don't know that it matters, but it's really fun to brag about.
So, did you buy more Costco lights, or did you go to Bimart?
I did. And guess what? They've changed which ones they sell. I thought I was buying the exact same lights. They're definitely different, but you know what? They work and it's totally fine. Um, no issues. It's the same brand. I didn't, I bought them online. They only sell them online now, so I just assumed it was the exact same light, seeing that it looked the same in the packaging picture. Um, and then yeah, they showed up and they're definitely a different style of light, but I kind of like it better. They're actually the hanging
Oh,
LED shop lights.
that's a good amount different than the last ones.
Yeah, the last one's mounted straight to the ceiling, and so I've actually set them. I've set them up so that the pull cord on them is actually functional. The previous ones I just set up on the switch. So when I turn the switch on, the garage just gets really bright.
Yeah.
Now, so what I did is I actually lined these up on either side of the bench, the workbench, so that when I need to be working on the workbench with excellent lighting, I can turn these two lights on, and it is basically like friggin', you know, crazy scientific experimentation bright. I mean,
That's
it's
perfect.
insanity.
That's what's good. When you're
So it's
trying to
great.
work on little tiny things, man, you got to be able to see. If you've only got one light and you got to huddle under it, and then you're like casting shadows over your work, man, that sucks.
Yep. So it's brighter than bright and set up just in the right spot that is now. Yeah. Basically, I have the light of 1,000 suns in that garage.
Now, I thought that you had one of those Bimart lights over one of your benches.
Now over my workbench, so I've got my workbench in the corner where I'll do a lot of my carb disassembly, different things like that. That's probably the most common thing that happens there, which is why I say that. But yeah, that I put one over there specifically for a lot of those jobs where I'm trying to look through, jet pilot holes or air fuel holes, look through the jets and really see. Usually I've got to walk path out and into where the better lighting is
Yeah.
because it's kind of covered by a nice shelf system. So I just mounted to the bottom of the shelf a small, well, really about the same size as the other ones, but just its own light. So yeah, I'm up to a stupid amount of lights in there. It is
Hey,
bright.
yeah, yeah.
I think I'm at the point that any more doesn't actually do anything.
Oh, I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't know that any more lumens gives you any more brightness at this point.
I don't believe that.
It's at least definitely diminishing returns.
Yes, yes, I could see that.
The value of adding a single light more is almost not there from a lighting perspective.
Well,
But
it's like going from one light to five lights, like obviously, or no lights to one light. That's huge difference, right?
yeah,
Yeah. You're still getting more light each time. It's just not as noticeable. Sure.
Yep, we're at the point that when I turn them on, if everything's on, it is bright. But it works anyway. Yeah, that's neither here nor there, and definitely a bit of a rant. But I knew that you'd be proud of that, Mister
Thank you.
Lighting.
Yeah, I like lights.
So you're always welcome to come over now because I've got a super bright shop.
Oh, but now I'll see you when we're out in the shop. I don't know if I can handle that.
Well, there's that. With the lights I've got, you could probably see me from your place anyway when I'm out in the shop.
Oh, is that what that is? Oh,
That glow coming from the south side, yeah, that's just my house.
I thought it was just Portland, man.
No, that is now trumped by me.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Sorry,
my
I feel
neighbors
sorry
love
for
it.
you. Yeah, I'm
We've
sure
got
they do.
birds. Birds don't know when to be awake or asleep. They're flying at night. It's insane. The light pollution from my garage windows.
The neighbor's going to work.
Yeah, he keeps getting up at 9 p.m. I don't know why to go to work.
Hmm.
All right. Anyway, if you want to see it, I'll take a picture. I'll throw it up on the Facebook page for Slacker Moto. That one probably won't make Instagram. I don't think that's topical enough. Maybe I'll put it in the stories. Keep an eye out. Check us out. That was my transition into checking us out at Slacker Moto, whether it's on Instagram, the website, or Facebook. Definitely let us know if you're coming to any of the events. We'll keep an eye out for you as well. We'd love to see you guys at the one show coming up here in a week. We'd we'd like to see if anybody's at any of the demos that are coming up. Definitely, if you go to Moto America come June, let us know. We will be there. At the very least, I will be there. I'm hoping to convince Brad. So send hate mail saying he needs to be there or he's not allowed to be on the show. And otherwise, have an awesome week. Enjoy the weather, whether it's good, bad, or in the middle. Get out, get some time on your bikes, working on them or riding them, and we will talk at you here in a couple weeks.
Until next time, ride on.